Hello everybody and welcome to Lawrie Goes Loco. Today we're going to be looking at a Ruston 48. And we've come down to this 2-foot gauge railway, the Great Bush Railway in Tinkers Park at Hadlow Down. And this is the home of the Claude Jessett collection. And he was a man very much after my own heart. He liked to collect vehicles. The bigger, the more industrial, and the weirder, the better. I love the stuff down here, it's great. After his death in 1987, a trust was formed to look after the whole collection, to restore, to maintain, and just to enjoy it. So, let's have a look at the Ruston. This is Ruston 183744 of 1937, and it's a Ruston 44/48, which is because of the amount of horsepower that it develops from its confusingly Lister-built 4-cylinder diesel. Now, there was some kind of agreement in place that the two rival companies actually worked together at this time on engines. So the engine is built by Lister, but has Ruston stamped on the side of it. This is the predecessor to the class that became the Ruston 48DL. 48 because 48 horsepower, D for diesel, and L for narrow gauge. Presumably at some point the L meant light. But this thing with these cast buffer blocks weighs about 6 tons, and it's had some of the weight taken off it. Originally it was closer to 7, and that's pretty close to the full-size cousin. This thing weighs as much as my full-sized Ruston 48DS. But it's tiny. It was supplied new in 1937 to Alpha Cement Works, after which the engine is now named, and it went to their Aveley Works in Essex. From there, at some point, it was moved to the chalk quarries at Clifford Who Works on the Isle of Grain in Kent, and it stayed there until after the Second World War, where it moved again, this time to Rodwell Works down somewhere near Lewes. And it was there with 4 or 5 other similar Ruston locomotives, and it replaced, I believe, 2 steam engines and possibly a small Orstein and Copper locomotive. And that's where it spent the rest of its working life. The cement works shut down in 1979, and the locomotive was purchased by Claude, who had been looking for another locomotive to help run his railway during the collection's open days. And it was the 3rd locomotive to arrive here at Tinkers Park. Also included in the sale were a vast selection of rails of different lengths and qualities, some of which is still in use on the railway today, some skips, and a whole host of Ruston spares. The locomotive arrived in the November of 1979 in working but industrial condition, and it was put to use in the next year and quickly became the main motive power of the GBR. Since then, it's received some cosmetic attention, which has basically been coats of paint just to keep it looking smart, and it's had the basic servicing and maintenance that it requires, but it's never actually needed to have an overhaul or required any restorations. It's still working the way that it was designed to. It's still a working locomotive, which is pretty impressive for something that's 82 years old. So the only thing that's been changed on this locomotive since it arrived here is this. It's had the addition of air brakes, or air braking equipment put on, so you can put the brakes on a passenger train. Now, starting this thing is remarkably easy. All we have to do is a little tap down here, and we open up that and see if any oil comes out. If oil comes out, then there's enough oil in the system for the gearbox, and if no oil comes out, we need to put more oil in. Then we wander around to this side. We grab the dipstick for the engine and check to make sure there's enough oil in it, and then we push the decompressors in. Now, the easy way, they tell me, is to get another engine to pull this, but the proper way to do it is you get the starting handle, thank you, and you put it into there, wait for it to engage, and then you turn it over by hand, which is the way we're going to do it now. He says, oh God, that pushes in. Oh, God, this is a heavy engine. If you hadn't failed, like me, and you'd managed to get the engine turning over at speed, you'd simply hit down on the decompressors, and the thing would fire up. In fact, the correct way is to push down on one of the decompressors and get half the engine to fire up, and then the other half. But it's not going to happen. God, that's a heavy engine. That's with the decompressors in.
When they used to start up on the Tanner Flynn, there used to be 2 chaps doing it.
Well, yeah, mine's got them both sides.
Yeah. Just go straight down there. She should mind.
You might notice is it's very loud, but really good. Right off, in the gear, and away we go. In here is actually quite comfortable despite the loud noise. All the controls are easily within arm's reach. They're in a bit of a different order to my own locomotive, but it's basically the same controls. We've got the throttle over here, a handbrake here, gears are here, and a reverser for forward and backwards is there. And that is it for controls in here. It's remarkably simple. There are 3 gears on this. First being this, second over here in the middle, and third being the top gear. These are constantly meshing gears. There's no clutch for me to engage. And to engage, it's just pull the lever into the right slot and slowly pull it across. And it will slowly bring the gears in, allowing you to pull away nice and gently without any wheel slip. Which makes it quite an easy little thing to control. The floor is quite quick to respond as well. As an old diesel, once you shut the throttle, there's a bit of lag where it slows itself down. Most of the control is done on the gears. This allows you to move up to things very nice and gently, very slowly. So it's a very nice way to control an engine. The handbrake, of course, just applies to us on the locomotive. And with the steep gradients here at the Great British Railway, you need a lot of caution to not lose control on a steep gradient with a train behind you. For comfort, it's not really something that was considered when this was built. Yes, I have a seat, but that's only to get me low enough to fit underneath the roof. And yes, I've got a window here and a back to the cab. And there should be a window here as well. But there wasn't anything originally to go on the front to protect me from the weather. I have a sheet that folds down to try and keep the worst of the weather out, but it's not really luxury at all. I also somewhat fear if I had this down, the lack of fresh air in here might be slightly asphyxiating, or slightly choking. Fine. We select forward gear. We find the gear steerer, pull it in a bit, release the brake, a bit of throttle, and away we go. All the way first, keeping the hand on the lever, otherwise it'll jump out. Bit more power, and across into second gear. Now I love driving this because it reminds me of my own Loco, the 48, because the controls are identical, although mine might be a bit quieter. There is very little suspension on this thing. You can feel every bounce in the rail, every rail joint, every bump, and every time it bounces between the rails. It is another good contender for this does not handle like it's on rails. Or if it does, being on rails is bad. Visibility, however, very good that way, very good out there, very good there. Because behind me here is a wall, I have no idea of anything over there. And into top gear. Oh, what a wonderful little thing this is. There's a gap in the floor here, so I can see if I'm flipping, which is very useful. It's very much a locomotive you drive on the gears. You set the throttle and then your gears are the main way of controlling. We'll come to a halt here, and now we're going to return to once we came. So, select reverse again. Throttle's there. We'll start in second gear, brake off. And away we go. Now this is great. It's a remarkably easy thing to drive. In fact, it's one of the easier diesels. Everything is pretty much where you want it to be. I love this thing. This is great. It's rough. It has no luxury. But it's just fantastic fun. The ride in this is just amazingly bad. Coming up to the gradient here, especially we have a train behind us. Important to check the revs and allow the engine braking to do some of the work for you. So we'll creep down this quite steep bit of track. For those of us with longer legs, having your legs dangling out the side of the cab is also an option. And as you can guess from the fact that Jeffrey is using the camera, it is possible to fit 2 people in this cab. It was only ever designed to single manning, and you only need 1 person to drive it. it's just quite spacious, and for two little people like me and Jeffrey, quite easy. It's snug, but you don't have to be too good of friends. You should be at least acquaintances to be in here together. You don't want to be in with a complete stranger, but you don't need to be, you know, really good friends. It must have been something to drive this round an industrial complex. That the track here at the Great Bush Railway is actually pretty good, and you can see how much we're shaking and rocking around. Whereas in industrial days, you'd have joins which were like that. The track would go like that, in and out of gauge, and up and down like that. It must have been an experience, a proper experience.
I love this little locomotive, and it's been the backbone of the GBR since its arrival. And it comes from an era of since before crew comforts. And as much as I've enjoyed hammering around on it today, it's not something that I actually want to be in every single day of the week. But that said, it remains very popular with the crews here at the GBR. And that's it for this edition of Lawrie Goes Loco. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. And if you've enjoyed seeing Tinkers Park and you want to come and visit, the details for the open days are in the video's information. I highly recommend the Steam Gala. It's a fantastic event. And if you like this place and like the look of the little Ruston and think about maybe you want to volunteer, there's a link to the website and there's contact details on that as well, because it's a really, really, really nice little society. So thank you all for watching. If I can ask you all to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't, and leave us a comment. Do you like the loco? And if you've got a locomotive that you'd like to appear on the channel, please get in contact with me. If you want to see more Ruston 48, then click here. Or if you want to see something at the other end of the Ruston scale, click down here. Or click this shiny thing over here to subscribe.